lots of people got upset. But some people came around and was like, you know what, completely get the logic. And some people still haven't gotten over it. So I say that to say, like, people were upset. But the one thing that I realized when deciding to do our marriage that way or our wedding that way is that we had to let go of a lot of worldly pressure that people put on weddings. You know, like movies and just social media posts and stuff like that. There is some kind of like an untold rule in the air that weddings have to be so big and so extravagant, and it has to be the day that you showcase your wealth and stuff like that. But actually, I would even argue that, is that the most prudent way in spending your finances? Is it? Just because you FaceTimed me, I feel like I just need to tell you this. I don't think you know this about me, but I actually planned our wedding in 19 days. You actually heard right, 19 days. Now, where did it all start? So it started when I came to know that my husband, or my boyfriend then, was going to be my husband. We were fasting. We had the same dream on the same night, sis. Can you believe that? When we definitely got the confirmation that yes, this is gonna be like my husband, and you know, vice versa for him, that I was gonna be his wife, the dream was that we both had like I said, the same dream. And the dream was that in the dream I was like, oh my gosh, babe, but we're only students, like how are we gonna get married in less than a month's time? And that is all I remember. And so we fasted, we prayed, and we really felt the sense of the fact that the Father was saying, you're going to have to get married very quickly. And there is context to this. There was just a lot of attacks spiritually. Now, I don't know where they came from. Not saying it came from my family, not saying it came from his. I don't know where it came from. But what I do know for a fact is that the enemy hates marriages. The enemy hates the idea of uniting in a covenant. So I know that whoever it came from, wherever it came from, it was a demonic attack to stop the union from happening, especially when the Father has revealed that this union has to happen. Do you see what I'm saying? So then that brings us to our wedding. So of course, as you guys know already, because I always talk about it, I am Indian. I do come from an Indian family. And so Indians, as you know, do their weddings huge. Like, listen, it's a whole event. Like, listen, you need to take a good 4 weeks off of work to be able to sustain yourself and your health in a marriage when it comes to Indian households, because listen, the events go on for like for months. I'm talking when it comes to like invitation writing, you have like a whole family dinner about it. You spend the whole evening writing invitations to this person, making, you know, little bickering arguments here and there, like, oh, no, this person shouldn't be invited. Oh, this person shouldn't be invited. It's a whole thing. I mean, it's fun when it's not you. And so we got married in March, and my brother got married in December. And my brother done his wedding so huge, and it was like extravagant. It was wonderful. But I remember that it was just so much happening. And if you know me, you know that I like things very simple, very under the radar. And it might not come across that actually, but when it comes to events and birthdays and stuff, I do like just no one knowing basically what I'm doing, where I'm at, no one knowing it's my birthday. Even when a cake comes out, I'm like, oh my Lord, I don't know what to do with this thing, like, you know. So seeing that about his birthday, and I mean about my brother's wedding, and then seeing how I felt in my brother's wedding as well, like I was overweight, so I was really conscious, and just knowing that like it's only 3 months since then, and I still don't feel like I want all those eyes on me. And so that was a factor to consider. But then there is another factor to consider in the sense where Indian families, listen, you know, you guys, we like to talk. So we'll come to, I say we, no, I don't actually, but Indians like to talk. Like they'll come to your wedding and they will mention things about your dress that they didn't like and that they did like, to be fair. They will mention things about the food that they liked and they didn't like. They will mention the things about the venue. They will mention things about your husband's skin color, aka my husband's black. So they had a lot of things to talk about. So that was also another factor. And listen, I'm just being completely real with you guys. I'm hoping that this doesn't offend any auntie that kind of watches this video. I'm sorry, auntie, but it's the truth. So yeah, those are the things that I had to consider. So I was thinking, hold up a minute now. First and foremost, Leslie and I are students, so we don't have a bag of money like that. Second of all, I'm not trying to splurge on one day when I know what my people can be like. Third of all, if I know what my people can be like with an Indian partner that somebody decides to marry, I for sure know that they will have a whole heap of things to say about my black husband. So I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. I was not going to do that. And so I know myself enough to know that if I was to get married in such a extravagant way, and I know and I see somebody's face that says they're talking about my husband, someone that means so much to me, I will. That's it. I will. So I just knew that I couldn't take myself emotionally to that place, let alone physically to that place. So I just knew that the best foot forward was to keep it very discreet and keep those that are around me that mean so much to me, like my immediate family, there only. So that's what I done. Now, of course, I have some cousins that I would have loved to invite, but then if I invite them, then I couldn't invite the out. Listen, it was just a whole heap of mess. So I decided if it's just my immediate family, no one gets upset, no one gets offended. And I often get asked the question, how did you decide to do your wedding so small? And did anyone get upset? And the answer is yes. So many people got upset. Both my side and my husband's side, because of course if I'm only inviting my immediate family, he can't now invite his entire family, right? It just doesn't make sense in terms of like guest division. So he was also very compromised in the sense where it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to invite just the elders of my family since you're not inviting anyone from your end. So that's what happened. And yes, lots of people got upset, but some people came around and was like, you know what, completely get the logic, and some people still haven't gotten over it. So I say that to say, like, people were upset, but the one thing that I realized when deciding to do our marriage that way or our wedding that way is that we had to let go of a lot of worldly pressure that people put on weddings, you know, like movies and just social media posts and stuff like that. There is some kind of like an untold rule in the air that weddings have to be so big and so extravagant, and it has to be the day that you showcase your wealth and stuff like that. But actually, I would even argue that, is that the most prudent way in spending your finances? Is it? Because it's one day. And literally now when I talk to people that had like really big flamboyant weddings, they all say like, listen, it wasn't worth taking out that loan. Like, if you have the wealth to do it, no problem. But if you have to really work hard to accumulate the money to do this one day thing, like, really? We had to really let go of the worldly ideas of like marriages and weddings and replace it with what the Bible says about it. And nowhere in the Bible does it talk about big weddings. The Bible more so talks about weddings in the sense where it's a passing of a responsibility of a covering for the daughter, going from a daughter to a wife. And so the husband will go to the father, ask for the hand in marriage, and then the father and the son take an oath to say, or the son-in-law to be takes an oath with the father-in-law to say, look, if anything happens to your daughter, let my blood be on the line, meaning you can actually kill me if I don't keep up to that responsibility of being a husband and a covering for the daughter. Like, I remember though being really upset about this one thing, and it's that I called the florist and I was like, oh, like I would really like some real flowers or some fake flowers just arranged in the church so it can feel like, yeah, I'm walking into something like decorated just for us. And she quoted us a price and I was like, okay, well, this is the food budget. So that was a really hard decision to make, even though it feels like an easy decision to make, because we literally had no decor for the wedding, like none whatsoever. And that was the moment where it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, not even flowers. And I just had to really surrender it to the Lord. And I promise you, instantly, I felt the peace of God upon me to be like, actually, who cares about these flowers? Like the thing that you care the most about is this man that you're about to marry, and he is going to be there at the end of the aisle waiting for you. Like, does it really matter? And I promise you, in that instance, I was just like, thank you, Lord. The lesson that I learned with that is that we could so easily feel like, oh my gosh, we're on the track of like not making this about the world and not allowing pressures to be upon us. But then minutes later, something could happen and easily our focus goes back into that. And it just shows us just how conditioning works. We are conditioned to feel that way. We are conditioned to see marriage and weddings in that way and not the ways of the Lord. And so I want to challenge you, if you're watching this video, clearly you have something to do with marriages or you're considering small weddings maybe or whatnot. And I just want to say that actually doing things Christ-centered is the best foundation that you can start your wedding or your marriage on. Like, you don't want to start it on such a, hi, look at us, oh my gosh, flamboyancy and whatnot, and then find that the second day in, when all the guests have gone and it's just you and your husband, you're like, well, I guess we start our foundations now. I just want to say that, like, be aware of how and where you might be conditioned to think in certain ways, and be sure that you're consistently going through the process of refining that idea of like, what does a wedding look like to what gives you the ultimate peace, you know? So this isn't to say that we didn't have something like big. We did do a big reception party kind of vibes, and even that, we done things differently. We wanted it to be completely sober, and I know that there are some members in my family that deal with like alcoholism and stuff like that, so we decided that in order for it to be completely sober and not be like, oh my gosh, you can't drink alcohol, oh my gosh, no, there can't be a bar, oh my gosh, we decided that we're gonna do things differently, in the sense where we done an afternoon tea party for our reception party. And so we had lots of teas, lots of coffees, lots of juices, and lots of macaroons, lots of desserts basically. And to us, it was lovely. It was a day where we welcomed those around us, you know, the extended family that we couldn't invite to the wedding, is to be like, hey, this is my husband or this is my wife, share some speeches, share some tears together, and that's it, really. Keep it moving. We didn't even do our first dance. We didn't do any of that because actually we didn't feel the pressure of that. Leslie and I are not first dance kind of people. Like, we are definitely more discreet. We like to have a laugh within each other. Like, we like to just do things at home with one another. Like, that is our vibe, and we wanted our vibe to very much be threaded and woven into our wedding events. And so I didn't want to feel or fall into the pressure of, we have to do a first dance because that's what the world says that we have to do, so we have to have a first dance. Meanwhile, like, it's just not who we are, you know? And so I think the lesson that I learned with that is that you have to really keep it authentic to who you are and not feel pressure to do things that are outside of who you are. Like, if you're an introvert, then sis, you're an introvert, and people that are coming to celebrate you will have to come and celebrate that side of you and the decisions that you make because of that side of you. And likewise, if you are an extrovert and you want to just do the most, then by all means, everybody just got to do the most with you, because that is who they come to celebrate. It's the lady that likes to do the most, you know? So just remember to stay authentic to yourself, and likewise your husband. So sis, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got a bit more of a clear idea how we decided to do a small wedding, why we decided to do it that way, and the ways we went around that in terms of just ensuring that our guests were also feeling cherished and pleased about our decisions as well. So yes, I hope that you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, are you a big wedding kind of person, or are you a small intimate wedding kind of person? I feel like the COVID, you know, has normalized this like small wedding, but when we done it, it was not normalized at all. So yeah, let me know if you're a big wedding or a small wedding kind of person, and I shall see you in the comment section down below, and I shall also see you in the next video in a few days. Bye, stay blessed.